I call to order the City Council Committee of the Whole for October the 28th, 2025. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember Rear.
Here.
Councilmember Root.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Roche.
Here.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
Here.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Here.
Mayor Shoemaker.
Here. Please rise as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Each member of council has received a copy of the minutes for our September 23rd, 2025 meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as submitted. Citizen comments is next on our agenda, and I begin with Brianne Shaffer. If you would come to the podium and state your name and address, please. Please move the microphone down for you, but we'll have to put it back up for Mr. Derby. Just pick it up and set it down lower for you.
There we go.
There you go.
That's a little better.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. My name's Brianne Shaffer. I live at 113 Ashdown Drive. Good. Okay. Good evening. My name is Brianne Shaffer, also known as Bree, and I am the founder of Fixing the Ferals. I am a local nonprofit cat rescue. I'm currently based out of my backyard, so I'm a little bit limited. I started this rescue because I saw a growing need. There are many strays, abandoned cats all over Greenville County, but Simpsonville specifically is growing fast, and I believe it's time that as a community, we step up, do something more local, something sustainable, something more personal for our community. Right now, I work with a team of a couple of my own volunteers, some fosters. We hold adoption events, fundraisers. Our focus is on rescuing, rehoming, and TNR, which is trap, neuter, release. This helps control the feral population in a humane way. So every week, really I should say every day, I get calls about cats in need right here in Simpsonville. We're doing our best with limited space and resources. Actually, with zoning laws, I'm limited to 4 cats at my own property. But there's a lot more that we could do with your guys' support. My vision for Fixing the Ferals is to grow into a community partner, one that works alongside local vets, city animal control, and the residents to create a safer, kinder solution for stray and feral cats. A small dedicated space directly here in Simpsonville would allow us to expand adoptions, help more cats, and reduce the strain on the county shelters. I'm here tonight only to start the conversation. I'm not, asking for any funds or anything. I just want the city's help in exploring some ways to support or collaborate on local rescue efforts. I don't know if we could review local ordinances, connect with veterinarians or property owners, consider small grants in the future, things like that. A big thing that I've noticed and a lot of people have said is the cost of spay and neuter is really high at vets. If you go to Greenville County, you can get it done for free, but oftentimes they're limited to only 10 per day, and that door closes at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I think my focus would be getting something in Simpsonville where we can partner with vets to make something affordable without that limit and having to drive to Greenville County. I know for me that's a 30-minute drive, and then get turned away at the door. So thank you so much for your time, for the work you guys do for the city, and for giving me the chance to speak tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Shaffer.
Thank you.
Joyce Todd. John, can you move the microphone down for her, please?
Good evening, City Council meetings. My name is Joyce Todd. I live at 1021 Powderhorn Road here in Simpsonville. I've been a resident for quite some time here. And what I'm going to bring you this evening is not anything that you all have not heard since our amphitheater has been in inception. Growth. I'm like most people. I've seen a tremendous growth here in Simpsonville. We all have. I guess growth is good. It has its positive and its negative issues. The one I'm talking about this evening is not so much positive. The loud and intrusive music, as you know, from the amphitheater is well known. It just hasn't been dealt with. I feel it hasn't been dealt with. It's a problem that has been here since the amphitheater. I would like to suggest that the city council meeting, the city council members actually team up with different the city planner, the planning commission. I think we have a new city planner. I understand that I was told that the city planner does hold some weight in making a decision as far as resolving the loud music, and I think that can be resolved by decreasing the decibels. And when I mean decreasing the decibels, I think that's something that can really happen if the team here, the city council, would meet with them. And I think that especially during the work week and the school week, when people are trying to sleep, actually, the windows are shaking, you have all the music going. It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday sometimes, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. So it's just not rocket science to me to get together with other members. It's just like the old saying, simply teamwork makes the dream work. I think that it can be done. I don't think it should be going on over and over and over again all these years. And I met my ward member. They know who they are. And I remember when they were canvassing to get votes. Can I suggest, and I challenge you to maybe canvass your colleagues the same way you canvass for votes to meet with those people. I think it would be a good idea. I think you can get a lot done before the season starts again, because I think they had their last show this weekend, thank God. So that's what I'm bringing to you. I think, again, my ward member has said so delicately, so kindly, every decision you make will always be in the best interest of the people of your native Simpsonville. I think that says a lot for you. I think that says a lot for all of you. My second and last issue is the genre of the music. The genre needs to reflect the ethnicity of the people in Simpsonville and the people of the area. I think that. And I think we can do something about that too. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Staff reports. We'll begin with the Community Relations report from Justin Campbell, our Community Relations Specialist. Mr. Campbell.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. You have my report submitted to you. I will go over a few highlights. The main highlight would be Meals on Wheels. Since I've been here in 2018 and prior to 2018, the city has been doing monthly route delivery, one route a month for Meals on Wheels, and it rotates among the departments. And I talked to department heads, and we collaborated to make sure that all departments are taking on their own route. So we now have 5 routes for delivering meals for Meals on Wheels each month. And so that impact goes from about 10 clients a month to 50 clients a month. So almost every week of the month for 12 months, several people are going to be seeing individuals with Simpsonville apparel on, Public Works or Parks and Rec, PD, Fire Department, and know that they are giving back to the community in that way. So I'm very appreciative to the department heads and the departments for that. Our United Way of Greenville County Pledge campaign is underway. We still have some time for that. And lastly, I went to the Municipal Association Communications Workshop today, and the most interesting part of that workshop was a presentation on AI. And this expert really stressed that now is the time for local governments, any organization, to look at what policies might need to be in place in terms of staff using ChatGPT or AI tools and other possible issues there may be. Usually government is about 10 years behind when it comes to technology. And this person said if we start researching and looking into what things we as a local government can do to adapt before there are problems and before those problems are expensive to fix. So I'm going to look into that and see what, as a city, we might have to deal with when it comes to AI. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilmember Roop.
If Ms. Shaffer would be willing to speak to you about possibly getting her information,
yes,
possibly on our website for people to call. The mayor and I actually have been working on the feral cat issue for my entire term, and I've personally called vets in the area. I don't mean to digress, but no one seems to help, and it is they do charge a lot of money, and we do have a problem, and this problem was brought to us 4 years ago, Mayor, and I'm sure it's gotten 10 times worse then. But if there's a place that somebody in the city could go and find her information, if she's willing to be on there, but we're trying to address it as best as we can. I know the county's got an issue as well. And anyway, we'll talk offline, but I thought that might be a good starting point for people that would go on our page.
Yes, sir. If Ms. Shaffer is willing to meet, I would be happy to talk to her, or sit down and talk so I can exchange my information with her.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hutchings.
I just want to say that I invited Ms. Shaffer here tonight for the purpose of presenting this to the entire council, and I agree that we should get the message out as soon as possible. I know a lot of my constituents constantly talk about the problem, so I know there's definitely a big problem out there, and we should be able to find some ways to work on it. Secondly, we at one point had a quarterly newsletter that went out, and I've had a letter on my desk when I came in tonight about news of the city and so forth, wanting to get a reliable source for that. Are we still doing that quarterly letter?
I had temporarily discontinued that because of the amount of time required to do it, the amount of, and then the idea that newsletters like that are sort of being utilized less and less. So the Know Your City and the council notes that I do, that those were sort of born out of this, temporarily putting the newsletter on pause. Doing it right and doing it well, it can be a lot quarterly. We could think about slimming it down and choosing a few different topics, bigger topics to concentrate on. I did enjoy doing it. As terms of bang for buck and the information that was being consumed, I was unsure about the effectiveness in terms of the amount of work that went into it. But I do think it is worthwhile to take a look back at that and see if there's some kind of variation that we can do. I can even reach out to Fountain Inn, because as you were talking on LinkedIn, they have a newsletter. And so I'll talk to them and see what they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council. Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor.
Planning report, John Derbty, Planning Director. Mr. Derbty. One more.
I'll see.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. You have my quarterly staff report. I won't go over all the details of that. I will go over some of the Planning Commission items that went through. Some of them will come for you tonight. We did have the short-term rental ordinance, 2 annexations that are coming tonight, one on Tearose Lane and one on West Georgia Road. We did the comp plan evaluation during the last quarter. This month we did have a building design review for Southeast Main Street for a new TR bank. Board of Zoning Appeals met once in this quarter for a special exception for a construction service on Main Street. Things to come next year the staff is working on is looking at doing a workshop with council for updating our LDR. Our LDR is pretty outdated, a lot of our language, so we've been working on that for about a year now.
Mr. Derbty, point of order, would you, for the benefit of the audience, spell out what LDR stands for, please?
Absolutely. That is our land development regulations.
Thank you.
It coincides with our zoning ordinance. That document we use for designing our neighborhoods, our roads, needs to be updated, but the amount of updating on that will require a workshop to kind of more or less explain it more than a typical council meeting to get some feedback from council. So that's what staff is working on. I did receive an email from Ms. Shaffer as well regarding the cat rescue. I will mention that I will respond back to them about locations that in the city that would be suitable for a cat rescue. So it is permitted by right in some of our zones, but depending on those locations, it does have conditions. So I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Derbty. Council? Thank you. Planning report, Maria Tooley, our Finance Director. Ms. Tooley?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Sorry, that's the financial report. Somehow I didn't get that title changed, but
That's okay.
full of technical difficulties.
The monthly general fund revenue account balance, or monthly revenue account, is $651,526, which is 12% of our budget. The monthly general fund expenditure account is $1,917,000, which is 21% of our budget. The monthly sewer revenue fund is $188,680, which is 26% of our budget. The monthly sewer fund expenditure account is $56,190,000, which is 17% of our budget. The monthly special revenue fund is $369,329, which is 24% of our budget. The monthly special revenue fund expenditure account is $59,466, which is 30% of our budget. The monthly Public Works Enterprise Fund revenue account is $4,976, which is 1% of our budget. The monthly Public Works Enterprise Fund expenditure account is $85,259, which is 19% of our budget. Do you have any questions?
Council? Thank you, Director Tooley.
Thank you.
City Administrator report. Mr. Coker, our City Administrator.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You should have a copy of the Administrator's report in your packet. I do want to call out just a few quick items. First of all, downtown revitalization and streetscape. We're staying in regular touch with CoTransco, which is the project manager for the long-awaited streetscape project. I spoke with their representative on October 14th and was reassured that plans are being finalized and that bid documentation will be going out for, construction documents should be going out for bids for the end of the year. Secondly, there was a comment in one of our previous meetings about the potential of the city kind of taking the helm in terms of removing the islands on Main Street. Staff had a couple of conversations with DOT. As one can imagine, things are complicated when it comes to roads. The reality is, right now, city staff can remove the islands, but I have a copy of the drawings that would need to, of the construction that would need to follow up, which includes not just patching, but entire new asphalt in some sections, and significant restriping from North Pliny all the way down to Trade Street. And so we don't have the in-house capacity to be able to do all that work. So on Friday, we had a conversation with them about coordinating the timing so that we could have a more expeditious approach to the project in which staff could handle the majority of the demolition, and then SCDOT and their crews could come in shortly thereafter to take care of the paving and striping. Another thing, on October 23rd, staff met with representatives from Greenville County Emergency Management Division to talk about the city's emergency operations plan. It's time for it to be updated, and so we had all the internal stakeholders around the table, and so we're working closely, or we will be working closely with EMD on updating our existing plan, and certainly thinking through some different types of scenarios that then was the case in our current plan. The municipal complex, we're down to just a few items, main items. We're still working with our signage vendor on some additional directional and some identification signs. Last week, we had an acoustician from Charlotte drive down to conduct some field measurements in this room. So we're waiting on the results of that report, and we're expecting that there will be some recommendations that come out of it. And then lastly, I have on my desk a memorandum of understanding with UGATA, essentially saying that they are willing to quote unquote take the lead on exploring a Swamp Rabbit Trail connection option along the north side of 14 from Powderhorn Road to Heritage Park. We do have a plan for an alternate route with a $7 million price tag, and so it's our hope that if we work with UGATA, they would essentially manage all of the technical and hopefully the financial components to be able to make this project a reality. So I'm happy to answer any questions about those items or anything else on the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Coker. Councilmember Pinkerton.
Yeah, while you're at it, on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, and you've got on here that is working with staff on funding and planning of the trail route on the north side. And I'm assuming that's the north direction and maybe the east side, but yes. Nonetheless,
yes,
I've been out there. I've looked at it. That's going to be a really tough item to pull off. There's no curb on that road. There's drainage issues that you'd have to deal with. There are grade issues. There's going to be right-of-way property issues. And I just wonder the money and time spent, is it worth it at the end of the day to do this studying, and how much money Simpsonville is willing to put into this. If somebody else wants to pay for it and it's complete, fine. But I have my doubts that that's going to be an inexpensive project to pull off. It's also a utility corridor. On the other side, there's a railroad track, but on that side is where all the utilities are. The amount of money spent to relocate all those utilities is going to be monumental. So I just question whether that's worth us getting involved in, and at what point are we going to pull the trigger and say it's just going to cost too much money. That's my comments on that. One other item I have a concern about is road resurfacing. says no update from last month. And so I went back and looked at the last couple of months, and we're down to the 2025 budget, paving 0.3 miles of road, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, maybe almost 0.4, with a little bit of a match. And then they're not going to do the paving until next year based on what we come up with. And I'm assuming we're looking at what we can pay for the 2026 paving, which probably isn't much more than what we're already planning to do. I haven't seen what that report says we're going to plan on doing. Maybe unpopular, but frankly, in the future, I'd like council to mull over pulling or at least revamping how we do road paving. This seems like quite a waste of money, in my opinion. Another $500,000 for 2 years worth of paving, and we get some cul-de-sacs paved. There's roads in my neighborhood that are over 50 years old since they've been paved. And that's not just my neighborhood, it's other neighborhoods as well. And just to pave a few cul-de-sacs just doesn't cut it for me. I would rather see us spend that $500,000 on particular maybe staff salary upgrades as opposed to paving a small portion. Maybe we'll look at doing something different in the future on how we really address paving our roads. But we're throwing good money away, in my opinion, on road resurfacing. Lastly, it's not mentioned in here, but I'd like an update on the crosswalk that we had a resolution for this past year. We have a grant to put together and not only a crosswalk, but a fire signal as well. So I'd like an update on that.
Yes, sir. So that was another topic of discussion in our conversation with DOT last week. The short answer is DOT is recommending that the signal function as a means for trucks leaving the fire station to safely enter and traffic. And so today I actually received an engineer drawing of that proposed infrastructure. And so our conversation with DOT has essentially been, well, we would like to have pedestrian crossing and deal with the fire service. And the answer has been, well, maybe you can do it, but maybe you can't. And so we're at the point now where they're clearly sort of getting to a point of saying, well, it just needs to be for the fire truck. But we don't have a firm answer. So we're sort of in an uncertain area, but they're clearly working towards fire trucks only.
I'll just point out, if I recall, and I could look it up, but the previous administrator said that we were actually out to purchase the infrastructure, which, the certain poles that they wanted to match the streetscape poles and that sort of thing. So have we done anything as a city to do any purchasing whatsoever?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay. So I guess I was misled.
Well, I'm looking over at our Public Works Director. No, sir.
That's all I have.
Councilmember O'Rear.
With the mask impact grant application, man, that was quick. That's like taking $10 to the casino. It's gone. I mean, obviously we got that answer pretty quick. I guess the question for that would be, what are we going to do with that then? Just leave it natural like it is now and just cut the grass?
Well, I mean, we have a lovely plan, but we don't have, a grant to help cover that. So yes, for the time being, it's just some lovely grass.
And also I'm kind of with Councilmember Pinkerton on the Swamp Rabbit Trail. I'm 2 years into this, and Swamp Rabbit's been going in Greenville County for a while, and I feel like we're going down no pun intended, a rabbit hole, like we did with Greenlink. With one of the selling points to try to keep us funding Greenlink was because of Fountain Inn, to connect Fountain Inn to Greenlink. And to me, that's neither here nor there. The Fountain Inn can worry about Fountain Inn. And I feel like we're just pushing the Swamp Rabbit Trail thing just to connect Fountain Inn. I mean, that's just my speculation, but I'm with Councilmember Pinkerton. You know, $7 million's a start. No telling what it'd get up to. I just don't think it's worth it at this point. Heck, I'm just thinking about the very first parcel out from Powderhorn Drive. That car wash is literally on top of Main Street. I mean, I don't know where the trail would go if it's going to start from back behind it and then come back around. And I just don't think it's worth spending taxpayer dollars to finish a trail. I think when we hit that roadblock when DOT wouldn't let us do anything with Fairview, then I think that was the roadblock. And I think it probably needs to stay that way at this point. Thanks.
Councilmember Roche.
I want to thank Ms. Todd for speaking on the noise coming from CCNB. I know that I texted you the other night and said, I'm 3 miles away and my windows are shaking. Of all the things we have to deal with and all of these problems that we're discussing, that is a simple one. Just turn it down. That's all. Just turn it down. There has to be a measurement. And that sound should be able to be measured at every concert. And the performers and whoever's controlling that sound needs to stay within those guidelines. I can't imagine living any closer than I already do, and I live down Fairview Road. So please make that happen. And then also, this Swamp Rabbit Trail Phase 2 with the Ugata, is this a different trail with that we're now considering than the one that we've been working on all these years?
So, yes. So we actually do have engineer drawings for the option that the city's been working on for a number of years. The rationale for allowing Ugata, and just to be clear, this isn't like a separate city project of city resources, taxpayer dollars, that sort of thing. This is an acknowledgement that we're not sure how, in the short term, we would be able to acquire, to have the resources to be able to move forward with that. We still have one major impediment with a key property owner who is unsure about what they would like to do on their site, when they would like to take action, and they've told us they're 2 to 3 years out from making a decision. And it was originally a Winn-Dixie site on it. Basically, if you get off the interstate and you're on Fairview just before you get to Main Street on the right-hand side, so it would be a right in, right out only. And so the proposed tunnel could possibly interfere with access to that site. And so we're pretty basically at a standstill. So our conversation with Ugata was, okay, well, while we wait, is there anything else? And they said, well, we're happy to take the lead on this. Give us an opportunity for us, not the city, but us, for Ugata to look into it. And so that's what that MOU is. It essentially says that it's fine with us if you guys want to proceed studying it, having discussions with property owners, with the DOT, considering funding, that sort of thing, at no cost to the city.
Okay, because I think some of us were under the impression that we were only waiting out on that one last property on the original extension. This seems like we're reinventing the wheel. It's going to set us back for years. I'm not for that. I know Mr. Hutchins and I have been here for 8 years and, been hoping for the rest of the trail to come. Mm-hmm. I understand there's a couple members here that don't think the trail's worth having, but please talk to your constituents. My feeling is that Simpsonville wants this trail. It's not just about connecting to Fountain Inn. Eventually we want to connect to Malden. And some of us, envision the day where you can go all the way from Travelers Rest to Fountain Inn. That's the ultimate goal. Of course, it's an elephant, so we're going to take it one piece at a time, but I am personally not willing to give up on the Swamp Rabbit Trail.
Councilmember Roop.
Yes, a few things, Administrator. Since we're talking about the Swamp Rabbit Trail, I feel like maybe I need to ask a quick question. Is there any budgeted money in the proposed budget, any dollars at all that goes to any studies of any kind to the Swamp Private Trail for this next fiscal year?
No, sir.
Okay. Money was spent, however, last year correctly to an engineering firm to do something that I feel that we...
Correct. Yes, we have a set of fully engineered drawings.
Okay. I'm not against the trail, and I campaigned on this as well. I haven't changed my mind. I think it should be privatized. I don't think any city money should go toward it, no matter how expensive or how inexpensive. I think it's a privatized thing, but I'll move on. I do agree with the volume as well, and I'm glad that was brought up because, was it Saturday night was the concert? Friday, one of the nights. Someone in my neighborhood, I live over next to Hillcrest Middle School on Stokes Road, and my house was shaking. And I thought it was one of my neighbors, and I went out to find out where the music was coming from. So I know we like to say, well, you moved close to it, so you got to deal with it. There is some level of that, but I do understand if my house is shaking, I can't imagine being right beside it. There is something. I understand when you buy tickets and you want to go to a concert, you want it loud, but I've been saying for years, it's too loud. The decibels, I think it needs some real addressing for next year, and we need to lower it or do something. I don't know what we need to do, but the more trees that we're cutting down, the less cushion that these neighborhoods are feeling. And so I do agree that something needs to be done before the shows continue next year. The crosswalks, real quick, Administrator. I'm getting a lot of requests for crosswalk on Jonesville. I've been telling the constituents in my area, hey, it's coming with the streetscapes, it's coming, it's in the plans, and I'm tired of saying it, and they're tired of hearing it. And eventually the city's going to step in and do some crosswalks, maybe at an expense of our own, while we wait. These people cannot wait a year and 2 years, and we can't continue to push them off and just say, it'll get done when it gets done. I don't feel right saying it, and I don't feel right saying it's going to be in 2 years, because that's probably, if we're waiting for the streetscapes and the DOT to get on it, that's when it's going to happen. And there's a lot of people needing crosswalks. So I don't know if I was on the phone quite a bit this week with Representative Vaughn asking if there's some state funds that can help, since both of these streets that we've addressed are both state streets, state roads, that they should be doing it. And maybe we can work with some of our legislatures and the county to get these crosswalks done while we're not just saying, it'll get done when it gets done kind of thing. It seems like we're pushing people off, and I get their frustration, and I hate being in the middle of it. I'd like to see some activity, especially here on East Curtis. We've heard a lot about this street right in front of us. Now, one quick question. It sounds like, and this was a conversation with Representative Vaughn as well, that they are not going to approve a crosswalk where the fire trucks are going to come in and out. Is that correct? They're saying the crosswalk's going to be down here where Academy.
Yes, sir. There is a crosswalk that is planned for Academy, both across Curtis and across Academy. So
the people that live in Poinsettia that come out right here are going to have to walk basically a football field to cross, and then head back diagonal where they came from, and then when they leave, they have to retrack. It seems like it's a simple fix to do, even if we did two. And I'm pushing for one up here. I told Representative Vaughn, and the DOT, his contact was like, well, put in a petition for it. And I'm like, we have, like, a lot. Like, this is something we've been talking about for a year. So I'm a little frustrated with the lack of maybe communication between the DOT and them acting pretty cavalier about it, and the fact that we're really wanting to get that done in that specific spot so they don't have to walk down a considerable amount from where you come out of Poinsettia to where Academy is. That's just something that I think we need to look at, maybe putting some in earlier and not just waiting until they start paving, we're going to have to be proactive on some of these areas. Jonesville, I believe, is one of them as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Hutchings.
On the downtown revitalization, I'd like to please ask that we get a comprehensive report from Cotransco or whoever we need to get it from of the status of that project, what the timeline. I get asked this thing constantly about what's going on with that, and our information hasn't changed much in the last many months. So I would like to ask tonight if we could get that as soon as possible. I know the bids are supposed to go out in November, and this is basically the end of October. But we need to let the citizens know what's going on, and transparency is important on this project. We're just not getting that at this point, so please push whoever you have to get that report out. Secondly, the islands. We're going back and forth on that a little bit too lately. Do we have a timeline on when that could happen or when it's going to happen? I know we talked about it, but when are we expecting it to actually be done? I'd like to see that. On the Swamp Rabbit Trail, we have a group called the Golden Strip Trails Committee, and it's a grassroots organization that is working on the trail outside of the city. Hands of the city. It's basically going to be a grassroots group, and they are trying to work with other organizations, sponsors, and so forth to get some monies to do some things with the trail. I would recommend and suggest that anyone that's interested in this trails project would go to that meeting. It's at 9:00 this Thursday morning at the Exchange in Simpsonville, and UGATA will have a representative there. UGATA, if you're not familiar with them, they have a ton of sponsors, and they have money that they can pull out of those sponsors, I think, to help with this project. So please try to attend that meeting if you're interested in the Trails project. I think you'll see that there is some money in that group now. They've raised some monies. They got kind of knocked back when COVID hit and haven't been fundraising lately, but they're going to start that back up, and that would be a good way to get funding outside of the city's revenue. On the park, once again, I'd like to ask if we could consider some sort of bridge or something from the concert area over to the bathrooms. It's a long walk from that area there to go around the existing pathways to get to those restrooms when we have the movies, outdoor movies, the concerts, and for people that have, particularly people that have disabilities, it's a very difficult journey. So it would be good if we could get either access to other bathrooms during those concerts or some sort of bridge or something that would take us across that retention pond to get to those bathrooms. That's all I have. Thank you.
Council? Mr. Coker, I'm in favor of completing the Swamp Rabbit Trail from where it ends right now at Fairview Road down to Heritage Park. The Swamp Rabbit Trail system is a huge economic driver, and when it comes to keeping our economy going, it's a flywheel. You need to keep things going. You can't ever stop generating that interest and intent to support our local businesses, and having more trail would definitely do that. However, putting the trail down the side of a busy highway, as Mr. Pinkerton points out, in a very narrow spot, along with the other issues that he pointed out, I am not in favor of that. That's the wrong way to go about putting in a trail, and I would rather not do the trail at all than do it wrong, that wrong. I would rather take the time to figure out how we get there a better way or not do it in the meantime. The next question I have about regarding the trail and the funding for building of the trail, we borrowed a lot of money to do several big projects. One, this municipal complex. Two, the park that the municipal complex is sitting on. Three, the downtown revitalization project and the revamp of the direction of traffic flow and the Festival Street on South Main. And then the last one was the Swamp Rabbit Trail. Is there any portion of the money that we have borrowed and is still sitting in the account that we are required, because that's what we borrowed it for, to spend on the trail? Or can we spend it on anything that is H&A that was part of those projects it was borrowed for?
The latter. Anything that's part of H&A that's tied to those specific projects.
All right. That's good. I'm glad to hear that that's the case. All right. Regarding the amphitheater and the noise at the amphitheater, I think that we should be looking at having the contractor that runs the amphitheater for us at their expense putting in sound level meters at some set distance around the perimeter of the amphitheater, with those readings coming back to whoever the Simpsonville Police Department officer is that's in charge of that facility for the evening. And if it's above the number, they go and tell them to turn it down. Not under their control, but put in at their expense. I think that that's a reasonable thing to ask. We do have a standard that they have to meet. It's already in our ordinances, and we should have a way to measure that around the perimeter. And I don't know how many that would take, 3 or 4, maybe one on each side. But I think that's something that's a reasonable thing to ask them to do and should not be too altogether expensive. And would be helpful for everybody concerned if we have a standard and we're meeting the standard, it lets us explain back to the neighbors that, yeah, it meets the standard. Maybe we need to change the standard, but at least we know that it meets the standard. Or, no, it doesn't meet the standard, and we enforce that with the acts that are there. And they just have to live with that and understand that. Next item is on the crosswalk. I would rather see us put in a crosswalk than traffic lights for the fire trucks. Fire trucks come with pre-installed traffic lights. They're bright red, and they have sirens, and they blink on and off, and everybody stops or gets out of their way when they come out of that driveway. If we can't have a joint signal between signaling for the fire trucks and a crosswalk, then I vote crosswalk. It's just my opinion on that. I believe that we have gone a year since we moved into the fire department here, and I've never heard of a situation where the fire trucks had trouble getting out of the fire station. But I've heard a lot of people have trouble getting across the street. So those are my comments on that. Any further comments or questions from Mr. Coker? All right, each of our departments heads are here or have supplied a representative from their departments for police, fire, public works, parks, and rec. Are there any questions from council for these department heads on their reports? Councilmember Hutchings.
I don't have a question. I just want to recognize Mr. Robbie Davis. He recently installed a big, beautiful American flag at Alder Park, which all the residents really appreciate. And he's now working on covering our bathroom facilities and a new roof on our little shed over there. So I just want to thank you for all that. The neighbors appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Rear.
Chief Hanshaw, got a quick question for you.
Evening, Mayor and Council.
How are you?
Good. Thank you.
First sentence of your executive summary, and that's part of what happens in the business world. You lose people to certain things, but another dynamic happened this week at county level with the sheriff of Greenville County pushing for for higher pay for their deputies, which I don't think anyone in this building wants to underfund their police department, at least not in Simpsonville, South Carolina, they're not. I guess what I'd be afraid of is getting into kind of an arms race with everybody as it comes to salaries. That would be a concern if Greenville jumps up, Fountain Inn, we jump up, and we just need, and I'm speaking for me, but as a council member, just try to stay ahead as much as we can for budgetary reasons as to what you may or may not need to make sure we need to stay competitive. We're a growing city, we're not shrinking. So we need to not lose people, because I know as well as anyone else, it costs a lot more to hire than to retain, a lot more. So that's what I would like to do. And if there's certain numbers that maybe I can meet with you on the side somewhere, just if there's certain numbers that you're looking at, target numbers or whatnot, I'd love to hear them, because I certainly want to make sure your department's funded at a level that the city and the citizens are going to need. So and so I'll email you and see if there's time we can sit down, if there's some numbers of peoples and salaries and things like that, just to try to stay ahead of it all, because we don't want to get behind. We don't want to get to a situation where we're 10 officers down. I don't think you want that, and I don't think anyone here wants that. So we need to stay competitive, and I just want to stay ahead of that with you.
Yes, sir. We are currently working with staff to have those discussions, because we are in the same boat as what you're talking about with the sheriff's office, and it's about competing for a smaller pool. Right now we're experiencing less applicants for the jobs. They're graduating smaller academy classes, and all this is affecting the fact that we're all competing for the same level of officers that are currently working and available. And so yes, we are down actually now too. We don't want it to get any worse.
Okay.
So,
Councilmember Roop.
Follow-up question, Chief. Last we spoke, it's been a few months. I think you said you were 6, if I remember correctly, Officer Short. Where are we at this point?
well, we were, but in the last few weeks, I've had 3 more leave, so we are at 9 right now. That also that's just open positions. I have 4 still in training, so that's still a little bit of a hindrance also, because I've got 2 graduating, I think, at the end of this week, and we've got another one coming up scheduled to go down and do his part. They're staggered in the next couple of months or weeks to get down there and finish their academy training. So.
When your officers are filling in for other shifts, are they getting time and a half? Are they getting well compensated?
Yes, they're paid for their overtime. Yes, sir.
Can you, and if you can't speak to the morale, then please don't. But my biggest worry is that they're going to get overworked and say, I can go to Malden or Fountain Inn for the same and get to 1 shift. And I don't have to. That's my biggest worry.
It's happening now. That's what we're the last couple that we have had leave. It's simply about the money there. I've lost 2 to Malden, 1 to the county, 1 to Greenville City, a few other places. So, I mean, we've lost 1 in the last year or so to Fountain Inn. So we are experiencing that exact thing at this very moment. So the things you guys are talking about, it's happening.
So a few years ago, we did bump pay. There was some type of leveling as they went. Are you finding that we're still underpaid by the surrounding cities in our county?
We very much are. That first part of that proposal and adjustment was to adjust the positions, the ranks, so that our scale was comparable to others, namely Malden. That was kind of our template or our guide, our standard there, because it's very similar in size and production. So that first part of that, what you're referring to, was an adjustment to the salary ranges and whoever was affected by those ranks or those positions that were underpaid. So the where we are now is the remainder of everything, the retention of the tenured employees that aren't really over the years haven't kept up with what's current and what the trends are, and the new hires. All these things are adjusted, so we are behind that level right now. We are not in comparison to the other agencies like that.
I think it's fair to speak for council that we want to remedy this. If we need to we're not for raising taxes, but we are for paying police what they deserve and what their surrounding counties or cities, municipalities are paying. If we aim to find that in another department, then we are going to have to do what we need to do. But when we swore an oath, it's the public safety comes first, and we need to keep our eye on this before it spirals more. So I appreciate you answering our questions, Chief.
No problem. We appreciate the support. Thank you.
Council, stay there, Chief, if you would, please. I'm going to switch this screen, if you'll bear with me just a moment. Boy, this will pop up here in a second. Chief, I'm not going to kick you while you're down 9 officers. That's not what this is about. But I've been watching this since I was elected 6 years ago, and we're on a trend for an all-time low in tickets and warnings. And please do not misunderstand. I'm not asking you to prioritize tickets and warnings over all these other crimes that are listed in the chart below. But, as has been said, we are well below the average for the municipalities in this county for what we pay our officers. That's problem number one. And we're doing some things that hopefully will sooner rather than later begin to address some of that. But we as a council need to address this when we reach the budgeting process at the first of the year. And I think we need to do something, arms race if it must be. We need to get our pay above average for our police officers in this county because we have an above average police department and we cannot afford to lose our officers to just straight up turnover. Mm-hmm. Regarding this decline in the number of tickets and warnings and this thing where we typically run 5, 6, now 9 police officers below our budget. I have an idea on how to work on that without increasing our budget. It is a plan to spend all of our budget. And I plan on circling back to this so that we can go back to writing tickets on Main Street, which you can literally see it, that it's the Wild West out there. Nobody is expecting to get a ticket pretty much anywhere, but I do not want that to be happening in Simpsonville. So I do have an idea. I've talked with Administrator Coker about it, and when we start the budgeting process next year, I want to bring this up to council, and we're going to start addressing this, but it will be a plan that will allow you to keep a higher level of officers. So I think that's very, very important. So I'm not trying to, I understand exactly where you are, and the priorities need to go where they need to go, and I trust your very sound judgment as an excellent police chief. Thank you.
That's exactly right. Well said, sir. It's prioritizing the cause, the service that we're providing.
All right. So, any further questions for the chief? Any questions for any of the other department heads? Well,
I'd like to give a shout out, if I may, while you're doing that.
go ahead, Councilman Root.
Yeah, Director West, I wanted to give you a shout out. I've been on the phone with you a lot with this Ripple fiber. I don't know if other council members are hearing quite the feedback that I'm getting on Ripple, but I appreciate you taking my calls, getting people out there, holding them to an ordinance. I believe we're the only city in the county that passed an ordinance to keep them honest to their work. And we have to hold them to that accountability. So I do appreciate you taking care of those matters this week.
All right. Item 7, business. Items anticipated to come before council at the next business meeting. To be clear, we have a committee of the whole process that any item that we want to consider for a business meeting must go through committee of the whole first. A vote to pass this along to the business meeting is not the final vote, and so that's what we're here to do. 7A, O-2025-11, amend Code of Ordinances Section 8-41 and 8-42, technical codes. Mr. Derbty, would you summarize, please?
Yes, Mayor. Yes, Mayor. Thank you, Council. The staff report is for an ordinance update to our technical codes. This kind of overview, every 2 to 3 years, the state reviews the codes that regulates the way structures are approved and permitted in the city as well as the state. In the past, what we would do as an ordinance is that we would establish that we are adopting what's been adopted by the state. What this ordinance is just basically explaining in language that we will adopt the current code approved by the state without having to go through an ordinance or a reading. These are updated every 2 to 3 years. The current code we're working out of is 2021. So the 2023 cycle should be coming up soon. This is something that I've talked with our building department. It's something we haven't been doing in the past. We have been abiding by the state codes. We just haven't been running it through as an ordinance. So this will allow us to update it when it does get updated through the state. We will post this on our website as well as here at City Hall. So whenever an applicant builder comes in, they want to know what code we're working out of, we'll advise them to work it out of the current code recognized by the state. So I can answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Derbty. Before I call for a motion, I would like to point out to the department heads that we do appreciate you coming to the meeting, but you do not have to stay for the remainder of the meeting if you don't want to. You're welcome to leave, and you will not offend us. Thank you. The motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve O-2025-11, amend Code of Ordinances Section 841 and 842, technical codes.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Hutchings. Discussion? Councilmember Pinkerton.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think this is a smart move. I went through this. It looks updating Section 8-41 and then adding into Section 842. Only question as I was looking through there and then clicking on to go to the state's website, do you have any, or does our staff have any requirements that they need to fulfill as far as training or any understanding how the codes work, or they have to go through any more adopting to the state codes? And that would be for our building and fire inspectors, I would guess.
I can speak on the building side. Our building official does that. He does continuing education to keep his certification up. So he's the chief building official for the city. So he is certified in all those codes that are in that ordinance.
Okay, so it's pretty seamless.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Council? I'll call for the vote. On the motion to approve O-2025-11, amend the Code of Ordinances Sections 8-41 and 842, technical codes, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Item 7B, AXZ 2025-03, proposed annexation of property at 320 Tearose Lane. Mr. Derbty, would you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Mr. Mayor, if you mind switching over to the PowerPoint. All right. The property highlighted in green is the site. I'm going to reference that is Highway 14. This is on the northern side of our city. These are 4 lots on the back side of Rosemont subdivision. Back history of this, 2005. This subdivision and a couple other ones were looped into an annexation that kind of incorporated a lot of properties up Highway 14. Unfortunately, these 4 properties were not included in that annexation, so they have been in the county ever since. We've been approached by the owner at 320. They would like to be annexed into the city for city services. We have reached out to the property owners on either side to try to see if they would like to join so we can prevent having another meeting down the road, but at this time they are not interested in coming into the city as now. So this is for this location. The current zoning is R-low in the subdivision. This is 51 lots total. There's 47 in the city, so this would be in line with the rest of the subdivision as R-low. This did go to October 7th Planning Commission meeting. There was no public comment. The Planning Commission recommended approval of 6-0. So I can answer any questions you might have.
Council, actually, a motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve AXZ 2025-03, proposed annexation of property at 320 Tearose Lane.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Hutchings. Discussion? Councilmember O'Rear.
Yeah, I did go to the Planning Commission meeting. I was hoping to get a little history of what happened here. I know in my neighborhood, I mean, I guess I'll preface this. Does this neighborhood have an HOA?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's probably going to answer most of my question, because HOA, if you get the votes, you don't really get the choice. The whole thing gets annexed. So we're not at that position at this point. So I was just kind of wondering the history and how we had 4 lots. But I was at the Planning Commission meeting. I'm glad they want to be annexed. It makes sense. I wish the other 3 would come in, but I'd welcome them to the city.
Councilmember Roche.
I'm kind of wondering if maybe the city could facilitate a meeting with everybody at the same table and get all of these properties annexed at once.
We did speak with talking about the remaining 3 properties. The other 2 weren't interested. One of them was pretty adamant. They were satisfied with staying in the county. They didn't, entertain the idea of wanting to come into the city, but we did, explain to them the benefits of coming into the city with trash service, police protection. But I did a little digging on this. I mean, again, this was looped into a lot of properties to get the 75%. And I think these were the people that held out that were not in favor of the annexation at that time. So I think some of those have been changed over in property owners, so we can definitely keep up with them as it goes forward, just to entertain it more with them.
Okay, thank you.
Council? Mr. Derbty, on some other properties on the other side of town, we realized when one property came up for requesting annexation into the city that the 1 or 2 neighbors that were next door and that property were receiving trash pickup from the city. We're not picking up the trash for these 4 properties at this point, are we?
No, sir.
They left. I'm sorry now that I let Ms. West. Oh, no, Ms. West is here. Do you know, are we picking that up? No, we're not.
I can attest that I went over there and they are not.
Okay. All right. So did the property owner who's requesting annexation, did they share any reasons why the particular interest at this point?
Just the city services, trash pickup, and police protection. That it made more sense being in a city than being isolated at the end of a cul-de-sac. That's kind of their main reasons.
I think it's a smart move on the property owner's part. I think that just getting the trash pickup and leaves and debris removal and that kind of thing will certainly pay for itself in terms of not having to hire trash pickup or haul it yourself. So, okay. Any further discussion from council? Councilmember Hutchings.
I'm just curious as how police protection works for the next door neighbor. If they have a break-in, do they call the sheriff or what?
Yes, sir.
They
the sheriff's
that.
office would drive down that road to those 4 properties currently.
Right. Okay.
If I can share a detail that was shared with me is that in the past, that when 911 is called, that a police officer may respond from the city of Simpsonville, but they won't do anything other than hold down the situation until a deputy arrives from the county. I get it, but there's a part of me that says either you're in, you're out. So, but that is what happens, especially in places like this where it's not entirely clear whether you're in the city or not. So, okay, any further comments? Councilmember O'Rear?
Just a clarification about annexation, just for the public. I know, I think most people do know this, but I've seen online forums things. Annexations are completely voluntary by both the property owner and the city. They have to be in agreement. Any taking of property would be something completely different, but an annexation, just for everyone's information, they have to ask, we have to say yes, vice versa. No one's taking anything from anybody or forcing anyone to do anything against their will. So I just want to put that out there.
Well said. Any further discussion? On the motion to approve AXZ 2025-03, proposed annexation of property at 320 Tearose Lane, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Item 7C, AXZ 2025-04, proposed annexation of property on West Georgia Road. Mr. Derbty, would you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Just go back on your comment, Mr. O'Rear. Yes, we don't typically pursue annexations, but in those situations, it's kind of behooves the city to kind of move forward on some of those just to eliminate an additional meeting. But the next item, this is West Georgia Road. This is a very unusual request. What you have there highlighted in green is the tax map number. That is one individual tax map number. This property is owned by the Tony property. All that on the right side of West Georgia Road is still owned outside of that green area. They still reside at that location. They continue in the future to reside at that location. Over time, they subdivided the property away from this tax map numbers. That's why you have it broken up in these unusual, not contiguous pieces of land. The larger tract across West Georgia Road used to be used for agriculture uses in the past. It's no longer being used for that. The applicant has requested this to be annexed into the city as our mid. Discussion with our legal counsel, we did obtain requests from the owner to actually annex 20 feet of contiguous strip. So these properties are contiguous. We did receive that. It does meet state regulations for the application to be entered in as part of this application. The portions in green are being asked to be annexed and rezoned as residential medium density. The larger tract on the left is right around 25 acres. That is the one that is being looked at by the builders, Toll Brothers. They are looking to develop this site for a single family, approximately 57 lots. The other portions, the little skinnier ones and the large one on the top of your screen, those would just be rezoned into the city. There's no future development as of right now for those. So tonight, the application is for rezoning to R mid for development on the larger tract, which is 25 acres. The other ones come up to be 4.32 and under half acre for the remainder of those lots. So by having that 20-foot contiguous strip, that will connect all these pieces to the city. The top portion does touch the city with business general along West Georgia Road. This did go to the October 7th Committee of the Whole. There were some comments there about traffic. We did reach out to SCDOT recently about right-of-way through that area. There was a proposed, I'll show in a later slide, there was a proposed improvement along West Georgia Road. Funding-wise, that did fall through. That was to widen West Georgia Road to put in turn lanes, continuing from East Standing Springs all the way down to Rocky Creek. That's still being pursued by SCDOT, but not as yet due to funding. So there is enough right-of-way in there needed to widen West Georgia Road when needed. So they did perform a traffic study. That was also in your packet with recommendations for a turn lane, dedicated turn lane into the development. But to kind of go over the plan, yikes, that one. This is the street view. This is the larger tract looking at the agriculture portion, looking north on West Georgia Road. And this is the smaller 4-acre, smaller lot that's not being proposed for development as now. The future future conference plan exterior map shows this area as residential out there, so the comp plan does support that. And this is their proposed site plan as of now. And I would like to give the opportunity to have a representative from Toll Brothers to kind of speak on the actual development, a little bit more about their company as well, with your permission.
Is there any objection from council? I'll invite him to the podium then.
Good evening, council. Sorry, maybe I need to bring this down. I'm not as tall as Mr. John. My name is Michael Kane, 124 Verde Boulevard, Suite 203, Greenville, South Carolina, 29607. I'm the Senior Land Entitlements Manager for Toll Brothers for South Carolina. I'm happy we actually have some of our technical team here, civil engineering and our traffic engineer, if you all have any technical questions. But we're excited about this opportunity to be able to be in Simpsonville. We've been working hand in hand with Mr. Tony and his family and working this out. At Planning Commission, yes, there were some concerns that came up with traffic. As Mr. Derbty did mention, we had our traffic engineer who's with us here tonight submit to SCDOT that did include a left turn lane going northbound on the screen here, as you see towards on West Georgia, left in. Nothing was warranted southbound, I guess westbound on this plan, but everything we're going to be doing is code compliant. But our proposed here is ARD mid, as Mr. Derbty mentioned. And then just, again, excited about this opportunity to be able to come in Simpsonville and basically share what Toll Brothers brings to the community. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have. And again, we have some of our technical team members here as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Derbty, have anything further?
I'd just like to go to that slide real quick, showing the green areas, the proposed DOT improvements along West Georgia Road. So that was something that got pulled. And they only did the Standing Springs turn lanes instead. They're supposed to loop that together, but that's just reassurance that there is right away there for future development, future widening and improvements of that road. So that was it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Derbty. A motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve AXZ 2025-04, proposed annexation of property on West Georgia Road.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Williams. Discussion? Councilmember Roche.
I'm seeing that, I guess this would be a question from Mr. Derbty. There is currently a creek that splits this parcel A, the large parcel. Then if we go to this slide, I don't see a creek. I see a couple retention ponds. So is the plan to dam up the creek and force all the flow into those retention ponds?
Thank you, Councilmember Roche. So we actually had a licensed wetland consultant go out on site. She actually just finalized that report. There is no blue line stream on the site. If that's something we need to give to Mr. Derbty, we can. But yeah, there is no evidence of a blue line stream crossing through the site. And sometimes that happens with the county's GIS. So during our due diligence, which we are currently in with Mr. Tony and them, we go out and have licensed consultants go out on the site. And it's a valid question what you asked, but we want to make sure that what we're doing on the site doesn't impact environmental issues on site. So we have that verification from our wetland consultant that there's no blue line stream cutting through the site. I will say that there is a small portion on the southern end, but we don't have any intention of impacting any wetlands on the site.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then a question for Mr. Derbty concerning the comprehensive plan, parcel A. It says city comprehensive plan identifies the area south of West Georgia Road as activity area, with the northern part, parcel A, as neighborhood. The city envisioned this area along the southern portion of West Georgia Road to be developed as commercial. Are you talking? So are we talking this parcel A was envisioned to be?
No, ma'am. If you look on the screen, the little small, I can just point to it. That portion right there, that's the property we're looking at. That is for neighborhood.
So the smaller pieces, the 4 point.
That's the portion that's on that map. It's within the activity area.
So
Their
we
portion that they're-
intended that to be commercial, but this lot, this portion A, we intended to be residential.
That's correct.
So if we vote to make all of this, what they're asking for, residential, medium, will that negate our purposes for the smaller portion across the street being commercial in the future?
No, I mean, it'll be designated as a residential medium density. The comp plan, again, it's fluid. It's a recommending, it's a guiding document. So trends change over time, so something we have to look at. Staff did look at this, possibly going business limited on that side, but realistically, that track is so large for business limited, you want to step down the intensity as further you go out. And that's kind of pushing the boundaries for commercial to go that far out towards Barker Road. So from a staff level, we look at that should be where it's trending down into residential. So that's why we kind of made it consistent with the larger track to be the same as that.
Okay. And I see for site improvements with the SCDOT study, it says it is suggested that a left turn lane into the development be installed for eastbound traffic. Are we going to get a hard and fast, yes, that's going to happen? But it's a suggestion, but I want something.
Yeah, sure.
Good evening. I'm Alan Reed with Impact Designs. We're the traffic consultant for the project. The analysis determined that a left turn lane was warranted based on the volumes into the site access. So that was our recommendation in the study, which we've submitted to SCDOT, but we don't have any feedback on that report yet.
Okay. Mr. Derbty, would the city insist on that left turn lane if we approve this? I mean, it's needed. It's something. It's better than what we're not getting right now.
Correct. Typically when the state will warrant or require that, they'll put that in their encroachment permit requirement. That comes to staff for a review as well. So if it's required by DOT, there's enough right-of-way out there to put it out there, then we'll require it as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Roop?
Yeah, I have a few questions, mostly to Mr. Derbty. Is this right past the Walmart? If Walmart's on your left, this is right past the Walmart?
A little further past that.
I'm trying to, I know I've been on that road. I'm trying to get my bearings.
Redwood development
Okay.
on the north side. That's right outside the view of that screen right there. So once you pass Redwood, this is right around the turn of that property. So
Okay. Typically, before we annex a property like this, it's usually, in my experience, up against a city residential neighborhood that we send letters to that they can come and voice what they think and what that's going to do. In this circumstance, these are county neighborhoods that are going to be around this build, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get a letter if I'm...
They do. They did.
The city will still... The city sent a letter to all of these neighbors, and they can show up at the meeting.
They did receive... The letters were sent out for that meeting, for the Planning Commission meeting on October 7th. It was sent out 14 days prior to that. They also met with the residents of the development that surrounds the larger track prior as well, so they're well aware of this request. So we did have, I think, at least one member from that River Shoals subdivision show up to speak at that meeting, so they're aware of this request.
So they are allowed to speak
at Planning Commission, yes.
Planning Commission,
yes, sir.
Not necessarily a council meeting. Okay. Was it your understanding that maybe they just don't know yet that a lot of people maybe threw that away, or do you think that there's not a lot of people that care about what's happening here?
Sorry, say it again.
It's hard. It's hard for me to one way that if one person shows up and speaks against a neighborhood coming in, that usually is a sign that most of them didn't read their mail properly, or they just don't care I'm kind of asking for your, or maybe the builder's understanding of which one it might be.
Well,
I know they're not in the city. Here's my point. If this is going to be a city property, I do feel we're obliged to understand the need, what we're doing to these surrounding neighborhoods. So my interest, even though they're not in the city, I still feel responsible to let them know in a correct way where they could come and voice their opinion. To hear that only one spoke out against it. I mean, if we move in a car wash, we have 100 people show up and speak about it. So a major subdivision, and I wouldn't call this a major subdivision. You see my point. Was it due maybe that they don't know yet, and now they're more aware that they're going to come out of more of the woodworks at this point?
I would say that they were notified more by Facebook or social media than the letters. Just the fact that they had this discussion before the letters even went out with the HOA. This property will have to get an easement through River Shoals for sewer. So they've already been in discussion with them. They are well aware that this project was coming through.
Okay.
I can't affirm that they are delivered to their properties to each address, but per our regulation or zoning, it just needs to be sent out within 14 days. So that did take place for those letters.
Thank you. A couple more. You spoke of the sewer. I was going to ask, that was my next question. Is the builder planning on, a few years back, we had a builder that was wanting to build out there that was willing to pay for all of the connecting the sewer from way, I think, out further on West Georgia. Well, no, I actually was closer to West Georgia. How is that going to happen, and to is the builder going to take full expense on connecting this neighborhood's sewer to the city?
This one will be connected through Metro Connects. It will not connect to the city.
Okay, so it will not come under the city. Okay, I was wondering how that was going to work, because that's pretty far out there. My follow-up question, my last question would be, is this builder dedicated on building this, whether it's annexed in the city or not? In other words, is it coming whether we approve it or not?
Yeah.
No, that's a valid question, and this is a great opportunity to just share about Toll Brothers, but we are actually a developer and home builder. So if we're looking at a piece of property and we're doing the due diligence, more likely we're pursuing it to basically go vertical too. So you're basically seeing us now, and you'll see us all the way up through the last few houses that get obviously built out. So we're here for it for the long run.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Pinkerton?
Yeah. Mr. Derbty, first, I want to apologize. Either because of my lack of hearing or the acoustics in this room. I just want to go back to the original comments on these 20-foot strips. As you know, I requested a clarification on that because that bigger property is not contiguous with the city. And the answer was, yes, you'd have to have a 20-foot shoestring. The original packet didn't have that. Today we do. So are these legitimate legal shoestrings or just drawn in for the purposes of this meeting?
You do not have the updated ordinance that has that language put in there. It will be put in there at the next meeting. We did receive the petition that requested those 20 feet be added into this petition within time frame regulated by the state.
So the property owners that these are going through have not approved that strip yet?
They have. That's the same owner.
They have approved it?
They have allowed for that to be added into the petition that we're discussing tonight. So Mr. Tony this family owns all those properties around the green portion, and so they're going through property that he owns.
All right. I'm not a real favor of shoestringing, as you probably know. But I'll go back to some other questions, maybe for the developer. There's about 50 lots or 50 houses going in here. Are these spec homes where you're going to build them all out and then hope somebody comes by them, or are you going to wait till somebody buys one and build one?
No, that's a good question. So basically, when it's going to basically be a lot by lot case. It's not just spec houses. So we'll have a model home out here. So that's where we'll have a sales agent out there and everything too. But beyond that, somebody's going to buy a lot and want to build a toll house each individual lot beyond that.
I guess my concern, not for your idea of going out there and building homes, but the city has a number of subdivisions right now. I can mention a couple in Ward 5 that are well beyond, not even close to their capacity. Some of them forecasted 400 or 500 homes, and they're not even 100 built over the last several years. Another one's not built out. Right on Main Street here, we have a lot that, I guess, God, it must be 4 or 5 years old when they cleared it, and they're not doing anything. There are so many subdivisions popping up around here that it worries me that you'll be able to fulfill. I mean, you say you're going to have this built out by 27, I think, as I read, but is your business model that good that you're going to be able to turn around and put all these houses in and sell them? Because there is a lot of land out here, unfortunately, in a lot of cases that are being made into subdivisions. Actually, off Main Street on 385, this Malden property has got a huge amount of capacity in the future, but I know we're growing, but I'm just curious as to whether your business model says you're going to be able to turn this and you'll actually be putting in homes that eventually the city, if we annex it into it, will actually have a revenue from the taxes from it. Knowing that once that property becomes city, then you're paying taxes on the property, but houses are going to be a lot more valuable.
Yep. That last point, Mr. Councilmember, is exactly what Toll Brothers brings to Simpsonville, which is why we're on the high end of the home builder spectrum. So since 1967, since Bob Toll found it, we pride ourselves on high quality material. So we are bringing a whole nother opportunity here to Simpsonville, which we're excited about. But we have a game plan in place, basically, and I've got Nick Myers here behind me as well, who's our Director of Land Acquisition, who puts together with our land packages. But we have an intention here to fully build this thing out. We are very much interested in looking at growing. So I'm going to let Nick speak to this a little bit more. That's a valid question.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Nicholas Myers with Toll Brothers. We are in the business of low density, higher end homes. And I think you mentioned that we would be built out by 2027. That's not the case. I think we would probably open for sale around 2027, and then we would be built out, I would say, in 3 to 4 years. But we're very much so the lower density, higher end luxury home builder. But good question.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember O'Rear.
I guess this one might be for Daniel, actually, Mr. Hughes. I came to the Planning Commission meeting, and so I got a lot about that. And I may already know the answer, but the shoestring thing was not presented to a Planning Commission. So is this something that we can move forward with because of that, or does this need to go back to planning because they didn't actually see it this way?
Mr. O'Rear, yes, we can move forward. Upon receipt of the new annexation petitions that Mr. Derbty received this week, these strip annexations are not going to be rezoned, or there's not an accompanying request for rezoning, so they do not have to go before Planning Commission. And so council can consider as part of first reading, if this goes forward, to business meeting for annexation of these strips without Planning Commission review.
Okay, thank you. And I guess too is it's the same family that owns all 4 parcels, correct? Any certain reason why that? I mean, obviously they want to build on the larger one, but any certain reason why they don't want to go ahead and annex the other parcels into the city? Because that would make this whole shoestring thing a lot easier, because I'm not a big fan of shoestrings. But, I mean, I know it's a business decision for them. I heard their explanation at the Planning Commission meeting as to why they're needing to move forward with this, and I can appreciate that. It's an industry I'm involved in. So I just kind of wondered why we're going to do it incompletely as it comes to that. And that's not, I mean, it's their property. They can do what they want. I just didn't know why requests weren't made for others, because it sounds like they're zoned differently anyways.
We can ask the owner to come up and give a little more backstory of the request, and I was going to elaborate a little more about the history of this, but it'd be better to have the owner.
Yeah, I mean, I heard him at the Planning Commission meeting about the large parcel. I just didn't know what the thinking was about the others. If it's other family members, they just want to hold on to them. They like the way they are and things like that. It's just, when you throw in shoestrings into properties that it's under one ID number, but there's multiple different owners. Thankfully for them, it's in the same family. It made your job a lot easier, it sounds like.
Right. Again, I'd like to have the owner up here, but I will mention that he does reside across the street from this property. He pretty much hand-selected the builder because he wanted to be able to have a quality development that he's going to be in front of moving forward. He does have another family member who lives behind him. Again, they didn't express interest at this time to be part of the city, but, they do have reasons why they're looking to annex and sell this property off. That's been in their family for many years. The property around that larger tract was also theirs. They also sold that off to a developer. So, there's been a lot of history at this location. But, again, if Mr. Tony would like to speak any more than what I have.
Hello, I'm Chris Toney. I live at 1509 West Georgia Road, so basically in between those two green areas there. But I guess to answer your question, my mother owned the portions in green. I'm acting as her POA, and she needs the income because she's needing skilled nursing care full time. So just for the sake of speed, I put those parcels of hers up for sale. I own the other portion, and then my brother owns the portion next to it. So it was just really just for speed to try to get this property sold and not really bring ours into the mix right now.
Okay. Thank you. I think I can elaborate for your council member Roop, too, about some things said at the Planning Commission. There were several people there, and Ms. Reynolds is out in the audience right now. I know she spoke. Don't want to put words in her mouth, but the big gist of it, and it'll go into what I also want to talk about, is I didn't really hear anyone say we don't want this. I heard people say let's just plan the traffic part of this properly while we have the opportunity, and I hear that especially because we've seen some annexations and the higher densities and things, and I think the price point, unless I'm wrong, was about $700,000 to $900,000 for these houses. They're not cheap houses. It's just making sure we get the traffic portion right. I know we do traffic studies, but to me, traffic, that's a minimal. It's what will that solve for what we saw today? And that's all well and good, but that could be defunct in the matter of a year's time with this neighborhood and anything else that may happen. So I think we need to look at planning farther out as it comes to making sure we do the turn lanes properly, the traffic flow properly, even above and beyond the minimum that the traffic study showed, because that's what I think. The biggest thing, I don't think anyone minds having neighbors. They don't mind the people. They mind the cars and the extra time to get into the city, and I think we all mind that. So I think while we're doing this, while we're building, we need to take advantage of that time to also make sure that we do more than just the minimum that was suggested for turn lanes or whatnot. So as we move forward in this process, there'll be more questions about that. But that was the gist from the Planning Commission meeting I got beyond the one sewer question was, let's just get this traffic thing right, because once y'all are gone from this parcel, you're not going to come back and put something in. So, and I think everybody understands that, and y'all do too. So we just need to get that part right. But there's time. These things take time and everything, and I appreciate the family member speaking, Mr. Tony. Thank you. So
Councilmember Roche?
Mr. Derby, if they stayed in the county zoned as RS, I think is residential suburban, how many homes could they put in this space?
Don't have those figures. Their setbacks are, I know I printed it out somewhere. Yeah. RS has a 30-foot setback, 5 and 5, and a 30-foot minimum front lot. I couldn't give you the exact number right now, but I can have that for you at the next meeting. I would probably shouldn't say that, but I probably venture pretty close to what they have proposed here. But again, let me dig into that to get the exact what could be built on the county standards. So again, their setbacks are based off the road fronts. So I don't want to give you say 60 and ends up being 80 or vice versa. So let me double check on that.
Okay, I'd appreciate those numbers before the next meeting. Is everything around this property county? Is there anything out there that's city?
Around the larger track?
Any of this, anywhere near it? I see that.
That's it. That's that property right there.
So nothing on this left side is city?
This is not an updated GIS map. I've needed to contact the county. Barker Road, if you remember, a couple months ago, we annexed that. So that little portion there, Barker Road and West Georgia Road, is in the city. The very top of the screen, halfway cut off, where it says West Georgia Road, that portion to the right is business general. It's been business general forever, vacant. So those are actually the portions that are really close to the city.
I'm just thinking of emergency response. I'm thinking of our sanitation vehicles having to go this far out. We don't have anything other reason to go. I'm trying to balance the benefits of annexing, the benefits to Simpsonville versus the sheer benefit to the builders. And what is the motivation? If they can build anyway, as it is residential suburban, what's the motivation? And maybe one of them can answer.
I think that we just want to be in Simpsonville. We've got several neighborhoods in Greenville County already, and all of them are highly successful. We feel like this would be a great community within the city limits, but I think it was also driven by some of Mr. Tony's desires as well. We had a lot of discussions before we even put this under contract, and he had mentioned that annexing into the city was important to him, and we just kind of said okay. And here we are, and we think that it'd be a great add to the city. As we mentioned, these are not going to be cheap houses. It's going to be an affluent family, most likely, that is buying this. Or even some retirees. So, we're excited about it. We're happy to join the city, and that's kind of the backstory in a nutshell.
And one more thing. I mean, we do have a general sketch, but trees are important. And how much is going to be left between yourself and River Shoals? The neighborhood next door. And on the back side as well, for the neighbor. I'm just wondering, is this going to back right into those backyards? I'm really surprised that these neighbors have not shown up to speak, because they gave us a lot of input about a small piece of property on West Georgia Road that wanted to become a church. And so I'm real surprised that nobody's here to speak to this. But that said, walkability and trees have always been important to this council.
And I appreciate your feedback on that, and we'll do everything we can with what you see here. I mean, we're going to comply with the City of Simpsonville's LDR, as Mr. Derbty mentioned earlier, but there are requirements set forth, if I'm not mistaken, street trees, buffers, et cetera, that we have to comply with as the developer. But as you see here, we will have requirements to plant back trees. So, I mean, we will do our best to work with Mr. Derbty and the team and comply with every bit of code and all that. But to I guess go further and to reiterate again, we have been in touch with River Shoals, and so even after the Planning Commission, we did talk to some of the folks that were there too, just to say, hey, is there any questions and everything too. So we are trying to be a very good neighbor here by coming in to Simpsonville. So again, don't want to blindside anybody with it, but we will do everything we can to do the right thing from Toll Brothers end.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
I just wanted to add one more thing. In the board meeting with River Shoals, and I don't want to speak for them, but one of their board members had mentioned that they would not be allowed to speak here because they're not in the city. So maybe, that's why they're not here. But they did have some representatives at the Planning Commission. And as Michael mentioned, we've been in constant contact with them because we're working through a sewer easement. they're fully aware of our plan and what we're trying to do next door.
Councilmember Pinkerton.
Mr. Derbty, if I remember correctly, maybe we'll go back to the other map, or we can stay on this one, but on this side of West Georgia Road, if I'm not mistaken, is in the Greenville County Fire District. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but I think that side of the road is Greenville County Fire District. It doesn't even hit the Simpsonville service area. So now this is going to be incorporated into the Simpsonville service or city fire department, and they're aware of that.
This ought to be, it will eventually be reviewed by them instead of the city fire district reviewing this plan for fire codes through the SAC. When it goes to Greenville County preliminary plan review, that's reviewed by the fire district of that area. So they
and Public Works, they understand there's this route, and fire department for that matter, is going to be kind of out of our normal circulation. It's not contiguous really. They understand this is going to put a little bit more burden on the.
Yes, sir.
One quick question, and I know we have more time to ask questions in the coming weeks. This emergency access that you got on this, what is the intent there? I mean, why wouldn't it just be a road to a road so you have in and out in two areas?
It would be ideal to have that in there, but I believe those are private roads.
Right. Existing private road?
The River Shoals subdivision.
The
River Shoals subdivision is private, those roads. So connecting into that.
That's a private road.
So that there would just be an emergency access if required by fire to have just for access into it for emergency situations, not for cross-access purposes.
Is it just a dirt road, a paved road? What's it going to be?
It will be whatever the fire department that reviews those plans requires. It could be asphalt, it could be grassed over, engineered design, but it will be designed to handle the fire truck that needs to respond to that location.
Okay, thank you.
Council? So if this is the right drawing to have up here, what is the setback along West Georgia Road? Is there enough room there for widening at a later date?
The indication I have there is 66 feet of right-of-way currently dedicated SCDOT in front of that area. So to do 2 travel lanes and a center lane, you're looking at 36 feet of asphalt. So that should be well enough through that area to widen it what they need. They're not going to widen it to 4 lanes because it doesn't do that anywhere else. So most they'll be doing would be the center lane on that project I showed you that DOT proposed last year, but no longer is funded. But
right. I was at the Greenville Pickens Area Transit Study meeting on Monday. This is the group that does all that planning and sets the funding and sets the priorities. It's number 62 on the priority list, so it'll be a while before that section of Georgia Road sees 3 laning. It could move up, but even then it would be years before you saw, right-of-way acquisition or that kind of thing to start doing something. If it was number 8, you would be years away from doing that. So it takes a while to get those things done. We are rezoning this property, and the zoning is what will govern. What I'm saying is that once we rezone this does not come back to council anymore. There's not like it would if it were an ID or something like that. So in other words, we approve the rezoning, we're done, right? We have no more say-so in it other than what our zoning regulations say.
Correct. What's permitted by rights allowed to go there.
Okay. And my final comment is I'm so thankful that Mr. Tony came and spoke because frankly, my preference would be to see this remain farmland and the majority of it being woods. And I would love that. The only real way to make that happen is to own it. I really don't want to see this continuing development and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I think it's really, really important to point out that I know we want to point fingers at developers. Okay, and this is not a finger pointing situation. I'm not trying to say that we are pointing the finger in the wrong place. Like, we shouldn't be pointing fingers at all. My point is that Mr. Tony's mother has been sitting on this property as a form of it's her insurance. It's her plan for how she gets taken care of in her senior age. This is her property to sell. And so I feel like it's very important to always keep that in mind, that when these properties are going like this, there is one of our neighbors. They're the person who signs on this application. There's one of our neighbors who is asking to do this. And in this particular case, I feel like you couldn't think of a better reason why a person would want to sell their property than to try and take care of their long-term needs for more extensive health care. So I'm going to vote yes for this when we go to the vote. So any further comments from council? Councilmember O'Rear.
Actually, you piqued my interest on something you said about River Shoals, that they own their roads. Is that common in the county, that its subdivisions maintain ownership of the roads?
I think it varies, depending on the development. If they wanted to be private, gated, it really depends on the price point. Might be able to somebody's experience. Okay.
Yeah, I guess T would have been a great person. I guess getting that, because I know there's been some debate back and forth here or there, some from input from citizens about the city continuing to take on roads like this, and that's why I asked that piqued my interest, because this would be something with the price point of these homes that maybe the neighborhood could maintain ownership of their streets versus the city taking them on and having to worry about maintaining them over the decades to come.
That would have to be considered with their HOA if they want to, budget the HOA funds. What would incorporate the maintenance of the roads on top of the stormwater, because they're going to be maintaining that as well any common area that's within this development. So that does weigh into the price point of what they want to include. It's what I've heard from developers, but it's not a requirement in the city to do private or public. We do have a standard for both, but typically we see these in the private ones in our ID, innovative development districts, more often than traditional residential neighborhoods. That was, again, you're correct, that was brought up during the meeting about looking for a developer to take on private roads in the future. That incorporates everything, the roads, the sidewalks, the curbs. That's a lot to take in. But if I can add one more thing to that, since we recently passed the sidewalk fee, this would be one of the ones that would be acting on that, since there's no sidewalk out there along West Georgia Road. Part of the requirement is to put a sidewalk in when it's feasible or when it connects. In the past, we just waived that since it wasn't feasible. And in this situation, council adopted that ordinance that allows them to contribute what would go in at that location into a fund that we can use that throughout the city. So this will be one of the first developments in the city contributing to that fund. Just to add that in there.
Councilmember Roche.
Is Table 4, the intersection capacity analysis results from the SCDOT study, available in these slides so that everyone could be looking at it?
No, ma'am, they're not.
Okay. What I'm currently seeing and what I think council needs to consider between now and the next vote is the grade given already. West Georgia Road and Moore Road, eastbound AM, F. I got an F. PM, F. No build, F. No build in 2027, F. Build in 2027, still an F. Then West Georgia Road and Barker Road, CN. AM is E, PM is F. Without building in 2027, still an F, still an F, still all the way across the board. This is not a good situation. Then when it says West Georgia Road and site access analyzed under build conditions only for 2027, they're giving it an E in the AM and an F in the PM. And then with the build improvement, which I assume that would mean that they put the turn lane in, it still only brings us to an E, AM and PM. And I'm kind of wondering if there's more that could be done besides the turn lane that the builders would be able to consider to help us with this. Perhaps a light. I don't know if SCDOT would go for that, but I just want to put that out there that it's not, the situation isn't necessarily getting that much better just with a turn lane. Anything that they can do to help is going to definitely sway my vote. That's all.
Council?
If you would like, Mr. Roche with the engineer kind of.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be great.
So the point you bring up about the level of service at the study intersections is an extremely common problem that we run into doing these. Any two-lane road with as much traffic as on West Georgia, you're going to get EF during those peak times. It's probably true for every single subdivision road up and down West Georgia Road. And the only real mitigation for high side street delay at a stop sign is to put in a traffic signal. And I can guarantee you that this subdivision alone, its driveway wouldn't meet the warrant. Some of the larger ones potentially could during certain times of day, but then you'd be forced into a situation where you have a stoplight every 1,000 feet at every subdivision's entrance. And that's going to be really disruptive for the flow of West Georgia Road. So it's sort of a balancing act, right? Do I want to stop everybody on West Georgia Road so that people can get in and out of subdivisions, or do I want to keep West Georgia Road moving? So, the turn lanes help in that it gets the traffic waiting to turn left out of the way so that people who need to keep going can keep going. And so, Toll Brothers is doing their part for their driveway. It's obviously something that would be beneficial at all of these intersections up and down West Georgia, but these were the ones that we were required to focus on.
So with the left turn lane, would it be coming from both directions? Well, no. Will you have a right turn lane dedicated to coming into your entrance?
It didn't meet the warrant for one, so we didn't recommend it, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any further discussion from council? On the motion to approve AXC-2025-04 proposed annexation of property on West Georgia Road, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. This motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Item 7D, amend Code of Ordinances, Section 16-4, wards and boundaries. Councilmember Pinkerton, would you summarize, please?
I surely will. This should go fairly quick. So just to explain this a little bit, as of reviewing the ordinances, the particular ordinance in Section 16-4 notes that elections are based on the current ward map of 2000 decennial census. That's incorrect. Now, I'm aware that in the past, council voted to approve the current decennial census of 2020, and that's in the record, but this particular ordinance just needed cleaning up. So I have proposed to put in here, and of course, our council will review that and put the proper wording in, but it would say something to the effect of the ward lines for each ward within the city are as modified based on the most recent, and it will say decennial census in accordance with the ward map made. A part of this section by reference, areas annexed to the city shall be assigned to the ward by ordinance at the time of such annexation. So it's just a cleanup. So I move to amend ordinance section 16-4, wards and boundaries, with the reference note that I have here.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Pinkerton with a second from Councilmember Roche. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Item 8, executive session to discuss a contractual matter pertaining to Heritage Park. A motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council move into executive session to discuss a contractual arrangement.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Pinkerton. Is there any discussion? All those, I'm sorry?
I didn't say a word.
All right, then I did definitely hear Councilmember Roop. Okay, so the motion is from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Roop. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of going into executive session signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. City Council has voted to enter into executive session as allowed under SC Code 30-4-70, paragraph A, subparagraph 2, for the purpose of discussing a contractual matter pertaining to the Heritage Park. No action will be taken in executive session except to adjourn or return to public session. Council will not commit this public body to a course of action by a polling of members in executive session. Upon coming out of executive session, council may reconvene the meeting to take action on matters discussed in executive session. City Council is in executive session. Simpsonville City Council has returned to public session from executive session. Regarding matters arising out of executive session, I call on Councilmember Pinkerton.
Council, I move to terminate the management of the CCMB Amphitheater.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Pinkerton with a second from Councilmember Roop. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. That concludes all of the business on our agenda. If there is no objection, we will stand adjourned. Simpsonville City Council has returned to public session from executive session. Regarding matters arising out of executive session, I call on Councilmember Pinkerton.
Council, I move to terminate the management of the CCMB Amphitheater.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Pinkerton with a second from Councilmember Roop. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. That motion carries by a vote of 7-0. That concludes all of the business on our agenda. If there is no objection, we will stand adjourned.